Read more. That's another thing that I've been doing. I leave books in the bathroom now, so I'm officially an old man. It makes me more efficient, but also like I'm bettering myself. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Midweek Modern Craftsman. Hope everyone is having a good week. Getting to it. Today, we're going to dig into a little bit more of what we spoke about last week, but more so personally, the bit of a journey that I've been on. So we're going to dig into some of the things that I've been doing to help me live the life that I want to live professionally and personally. Just some strategies that have helped me. I had a lot of people reach out to me after last week's podcast, and being that I've been working just to become a better version of myself, I figured I would dig into that a little more deeply today with some help from some direction from listeners and everything else. So that's what today's podcast is going to be. Before I get started, I want to remind all of you, next week, Nick and I have a live workshop where we're going to be digging into and doing a post-mortem on a job where I integrated pre-construction, and there was a ton of lessons learned on that project. It was about 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess just about 5 years ago now. And just what I learned, what I did incorrectly, what I continued doing because it worked for me, and just how to manage that job. So that's going to be January 24th, which I believe is a Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's free. It'll probably be 60 minutes, 75 minutes. If you have to register, you have to pre-register. So if you have not, you can go onto our Instagram page, which is Modern Craftsman Pod, hit the workshops, little emblem in the highlights of the stories. And then the first one that'll pop up is a free virtual pre-construction case study. And there's a link there. Once you click through all that stuff, it'll send you a personalized Zoom link to get into the meeting. Again, it's free. Also, if you have not signed up for the email list, you can do that through our Instagram. You can do that through the link tree. You can go onto our website and a pop-up will come up. So there's multiple ways to do that, but that would also be the place to get all news related to Modern Craftsman. I'm also, as I'm working my way through and understanding the website marketing and what to do there, it's been a learning process, and we're handling all that internally. So I'm learning for ways to give, opt-outs where, hey, we're going to be pushing for this workshop that we're having. If you want to basically press pause on emails until we get through this, or, emails that include this. Hey, say you've registered and you're like, I don't want to get 3 more emails regarding this before the event. You can opt out of any of those emails. So I'm learning how to do that, working my way through this. So I apologize to anyone when you've been receiving more emails than you want. It's been a learning process. I'm a contractor, and I'm not that tech savvy, but I'm working my way towards being a technological guru. Just a couple more years and I'll be all right. So to dive into today's podcast, first off, I want to thank everyone who reached out. A lot of friends, a lot of listeners who I don't know, emails, text messages came through, and I realized that this is really an important topic for everyone, and something that I should spend a little bit more time on. I also think that for the way that I process information and I retain information is to fully dive into that and immerse myself in that, and then work my way through it either through writing or through practice. So this has been a really good exercise for me to help understand this and retain this better, and just really put this into practice for myself. So that is why we are going through these topics today. I'm hoping this will be very helpful for all of you. First off, a handful of people reached out to me. Chris Murray, a guy named Jamal, emailed me with my ignorant pronunciation of the author of Don't Believe Everything You Think. He's Vietnamese. I could probably ask my wife because she travels to Vietnam a few days a year. But the way that you pronounce his last name, which is Nguyen, Um, so basically, Chris told me it's like Nguyen, and then somebody else told me it's Win Wen. So I was looking it up actually, and I found a really good video of a first generation Vietnamese woman who was explaining that basically Vietnamese is a tonal language and English is not a tonal language. So there's no actual direct crossover for how to say it in English. There's a bunch of different ways. Everyone kind of says it differently, but she said that the two most anglicized or accepted versions of this, and I'm still probably going to botch this, but it would be Nguyen or Win. So that's how apparently you pronounce that name. I'm botching it regardless, but I at least wanted to give the respect that it deserved. So thank you to everyone who reached out to me. My ignorance proved me to be quite foolish, which happens a lot. Normally I get called out for it just within my household, but this time it went out to the internet. So the deeper I go on this journey of really refocusing my energy and just being more intentional with my time and learning what to let go of in my life, I've realized that so much of why this is happening and so much of what's responsible for this is just everyday modern life. It's contributing to the chaos of how I feel, the anxiety. We got our kids iPads for Christmas. They had one, or maybe they had two. They broke them. They were old, but they never had their own iPads. And we're trying to. Selby now is 11. She's young for her grade, but she's in sixth grade. So a lot of her friends have phones, and we don't want them to have phones right now. So she has a watch that she can use to call us in an emergency. She can text our phone, but a lot of her friends want to get a hold of her more. It's harder to do that. We're still trying to hold off on the phone thing. So we got them iPads for when they're at home, and when they're on the internet, they can message their friends through iMessage. They can FaceTime. They can play their games, go on their apps. We really don't let them on YouTube that much. But even so, I've realized just how addictive these devices are to them. And now I see what my kids have probably dealt with for the past 10 years that they've been alive, where they're saying, "Hey, daddy, hey, daddy, hey, daddy," and I'm just somewhere else on my phone and not paying attention. It takes them 5 times of calling my name to pay attention. And I'm noticing that with my kids and just how encapsulating and just intense these devices are for them. And I notice the irritability from it and the shortness from it, right? Where I try and interrupt whatever they're doing and they become short or tense. I can see Tilly on her iPad and just going from one app to another, and just the anxiety and the intensity that creates. And it's a little bit scary to me. And being that the past, month or so, I've been trying to be more present, not be on my phone as much, use my phone for a tool. I'm slightly removed from that. When we're driving, I'm not changing apps on my phone. I'm not picking it up at intersections. When we're eating dinner, my phone's on the counter. When I'm working, my phone's behind my computer and I'm using my email, and if messages come through to my computer, just so that I'm not constantly picking up my phone. And so I'm newly removed from it, but I'm noticing the patterns with people in my family and the kids with their new iPads, and it's scary. And I'm realizing that it's the way that we have created life. It's modern life, and it's very intense, and it's hard to step away from. And I think looking at this slightly removed now, realizing how much anxiety and angst and just intensity this created within my life. So I wanted to dive into some things that I've just become aware of over the past month, and some things, some strategies, some insight, some action items that I think would be helpful for anyone else who's been feeling this way or venturing down this path. I want to also preface this by saying that I am not an expert on this. I am not a guru. I also understand that at this point, a month into just trying to be more present, and less focused on my phone and the internet and everything else, that my head's probably in the cloud still. I'm probably on that pink cloud of just implementing things into my life and feeling that natural high from it. So I understand that. And I think that as I progress through this, it will be less of a conscious effort and less talking about it and just doing, because it will become normal. But right now, this is how I'm dealing with this. So setting daily goals and being okay not hitting all of them. This is something that I struggle with for a really long time. When I'm participating in something, when I am deeply immersed in an activity or a project, it's very difficult to pull me away from it. I want to be able to finish it. That's just the way I've been for a very long time in all aspects of my life. I want to be done. I want to cross it off my list. The path and the journey to get to the end creates a lot of energy within me. And it's very difficult for me to settle down until I get to basically finish that journey, figure out whatever I'm trying to figure out, solve whatever problem I'm experiencing. And I don't do well until that happens. And I don't do well if you pull me away from that. I notice that a lot with Tilly. She's a lot like me. And one thing that I've noticed and I'm learning to deal with and learning to cope with is that I'm not going to get everything done that I want to get done. But setting goals and prioritizing those goals, and then understanding that I won't get all of them done, and there's a point in the day or in the evening near where I need to shut it down and walk away from it, has been really important to me. So I just had this conversation with Nick recently where we're just like, there's not enough time in every day. And what I've realized is that you have to prioritize what's important to you. If that's spending time with your family, if it's exercise, if it's business, there's only enough time for certain things. So you need to prioritize what's most important to you and make the time for those things, and then accept what you don't get done and move on, right? Nothing is going to be 100% finished. Nothing's ever going to be absolutely completely done where you can, wipe your hands clean from it, walk away, and just feel absolutely content with the state of things, at least for me. So stepping away from that perfectionism, being able to live within a bit of chaos where things are not as neat and tidy as I need, and that there may be some unresolved issues in my life that I'll have to address another day. That's really difficult for me to do, but understanding to live with that, and really prioritize what's most important or what time I have to address those concerns today, and then just accepting that I'll have to deal with it another day. Really difficult for me, but something that I'm learning to cope with and learning to address in my life. So yeah, setting those daily goals, and then really important for me, just being okay not hitting all of them. Life's never going to be perfect. Every day is not going to be as productive as you like. So understanding that you accomplished what you could today and you used your time wisely, but there'll always be another day. And then, once that time is up, once that limit's up, moving on to something else and focusing your effort there. Because if it was important to put on the list, it's important for you to at least take a crack at it, and possibly get as much accomplished as possible. Another thing for me too, spending less time on social media. So one thing that is helpful if you struggle with this, is for me, a lot of times, if it's a self-control problem, out of sight, out of mind, right? So I can take Instagram off my phone. I can take Facebook off my phone. I can take YouTube off my phone. I can just put them on my computer. So if I don't have Instagram on my phone, I'm not going to pick up my phone at a traffic light and scroll through Instagram. I'm not going to be in the bathroom using Instagram. I'm not going to be taking a break from emails going on Instagram, right? Um, I'm way more focused with the lack of distraction, or the less distractions in my life. So you can pull them off of your phone. That's a great way to address this, and just not using them on my phone so much has really opened my eyes to how much I did use them on my phone. It is just mindless scrolling, right? Anytime that there was any sort of downtime, rather than be in my own skin, be in my own head, just habitually pulling out your phone to scroll through social media, check your email, whatever it may be, after work. I don't want to be checking my email after work constantly. So just being mindful of the habits that I've created since I've been 16 years old and had a phone, and trying to break those habits or put limits on those habits. Again, seeing this through my kids, and they're not on social media, but just seeing what the apps and the games and the messages do to them, and hearing the ding and that like dopamine hit they get from that. Just not creating those habits, or at least being the reason or the excuse that they continue down that path. I want to be a really good example for them. Obviously, I want to feel better myself, but I want to be a good example for my kids and show them, lead by example, rather than me saying, hey, put the iPad down, but then I'm sitting there on my phone. I have some very exciting news for all of you. The Contractor Coalition Summit is hosting a meetup at IBS and KIBS. So that's going to be Monday, February 24th, 2025. I know we're already into 2025. It's crazy. 6 to 8 p.m. It's at the Nomad at Park MGM, Las Vegas. So this is not a summit. This is not a conference. Honestly, this is just going to be a bunch of people hanging out, open bar, food, and all the drinks that you can enjoy. And you'll have extra because I don't drink, so you can have my drinks. Early bird pricing is live. There will be no tickets at the door. So if you want to go to this, you have to buy them beforehand. I'm posting a link to it on this post. Hop on there now. You're not going to want to miss out on this. Again, no tickets at the door. February 24th, 6 to 8 p.m., Nomad, Las Vegas, which is at the Park MGM. I'll be there. Nick will be there. Brad will be there. Morgan will be there. And a lot of other people. So come check it out. Open bar, food, great hanging out. It's really going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. And let me know if you have any questions. Focusing on the basics, and this is actually really difficult. And I struggle with this, and I think a lot of people struggle with this, and most of it's probably from a time perspective, but eating well, sleeping well, and exercising. I'm not somebody who wants to get up at 5 a.m. and go crush a workout. That's just not my style. That's not who I've ever been. Yeah, there's been times in my life that I've done that, but that's not me. I would much rather use a run or a workout or a stretch or whatever it may be to wind down at the end of the day. And that may seem counterintuitive to most people, or counterproductive, right? Where it's like you want to go work out and elevate your heart rate at the end of the day, but that's just what works for me. I like that as like, hey, my day's done. I'm going to go get tired. I'll come home. I'll get cleaned up. I feel good about myself. I can lay in bed and feel as though I ended my day on a high note and I was productive. I don't necessarily need that to start my day. Eating well is difficult. It's a time constraint. So a lot of times if we go out to eat, it's because Rachel works, I work, the girls have sports, the girls have school. We're tired. We don't feel like making dinner and then cleaning up from dinner, or we didn't have time to go to the grocery store to stock the fridge. So it's convenience, right? So having enough time, or setting aside enough time during the day or during the weekend to plan for the week to try and eat healthy. We've always been a relatively healthy family. Not overboard, but just Rachel and Selby have certain eating habits, and I guess gastro issues that they deal with. So going out to eat all the time doesn't help. Um, we just, I guess it's a lifestyle. We typically, oh, hey, as she's bringing me coffee. So we do drink coffee, and she was out at an appointment with her dad, so she brought me home a coffee as a treat. So we just typically, we're a fairly healthy family. We don't eat a ton of junk. The kids obviously will eat junk, but I've always, since I've been on my own, lived on my own, I eat breakfast at home. I eat lunch. I pack my lunch every single day. I could probably count on two hands the number of times that I've left during the work day to go grab food. And it's typically I have somebody help me out, or I have subs on a job, and I'm getting them something to eat. But when I'm working by myself, I don't eat out for breakfast. I don't eat out for lunch. Typically, we don't eat out for dinner, but there's times that happens just for convenience sake. So I try and eat as healthy as possible. That makes me feel better. It makes me feel better about myself, more from a mental perspective, even than physically. I don't know if I'm in tune physically enough to realize the benefits of that, or if I slow down long enough to realize I just ate this and it made me feel this way. Definitely plays a role in that. I don't know how in tune I am to that. And even with my kids, they just seem wild all the time. So if I feed them like food dye, definitely has an impact on them, but I don't know exactly how much. So just trying to be consistent, getting enough sleep. I realize that I'm somebody who needs sleep. So making sure I'm getting to bed early enough, getting consistent sleep, and then not waking up too early or having so much stress on my plate that I can't sleep through the night. So I need to ensure that I'm getting sleep. All of these things, as simple as they are and as fundamentally basic as they are for human needs, because of time and because of modern life and the chaos and the requirements of it, it's very difficult for us to do consistently. It's a lot of work. It's not fun, and it's not easy, but the rewards and the back end are definitely worth it. It's cold out. It's winter. I've been running a fair amount. And if I can't get out during the day or during my lunch break, I need to exercise after work. It's typically not ideal right when the kids get home. It's not ideal during dinner time. So a lot of times it'll be when the kids are getting ready and getting cleaned up at the end of the day. It could be 7 o'clock at night that I'm going out for a run. It's 20 to 30 degrees out. And for a while I was like, I don't want to go do this now. It's freezing. It's not fun. But I've just realized that like getting out there, getting dressed appropriately, and going and exercising sets myself up for that day, for the next day, just feeling good about myself. And it's not that bad. And I've found that the more consistent I am with it, the easier it is. If I exercise consistently, it's easy to keep up. If I start taking breaks, it's easy to fall into that trap of I don't feel like doing this. I'm tired. It's cold. But the more consistent you are, the easier it is to do every single day. Read more. That's another thing that I've been doing. So I've stopped bringing my phone to bed, right? If I'm going to be on my phone, I'm going to set my alarm, like my feet are off the bed, my ass may be in the bed, but I'm not laying in bed with the phone on my chest, scrolling through Instagram, checking email, watching YouTube. Supercross just started up. I didn't get to watch all of it. So if I want to watch that in bed, we don't have a TV in our room. So I will use my computer. And it's probably the same thing, but for me, it's just the optics of it. Like, I'm not going to be on my computer and then go to Instagram and then go to Facebook and then text message somebody and then check my email, check the weather app to see what I have for work tomorrow, check my calendar, right? So if I'm on my computer, I'm not going to be bouncing around and creating that stimulation that's going to get me energized and going and very manic. And also like the optics of it, our kids' rooms across the hall from us. And as they're going to bed, we're going to bed. And I don't want them to sit there and see me just on my phone every night going to sleep. So I'm on my computer. They know that I'm probably watching Supercross or reading an article on my computer. And it's just like, hey, we don't lay in bed and just scroll on our phones aimlessly. I don't want them to do that. So I have to lead by example there. But anything I'm doing, right, I come in the house, I've just tried to create habits where prior to me addressing this, my phone went everywhere with me. It's always in my pocket. If I go up to get changed, if I run upstairs to put on deodorant, my phone needs to come with me. And I've just realized why it doesn't. I can go upstairs and shower and get cleaned up, and my phone can stay down on the counter, and that's perfectly fine, rather than bring it up with me, have it in my hand, have it on the counter while I'm showering. It's unnecessary. And I've realized all the negative consequences of doing that. And it just keeps that anxiety at bay by leaving my phone behind and not checking it every 30 seconds and not having it every single second of every day. Another big change that I made is I leave books in the bathroom now. So I'm officially an old man. I don't bring my phone to the bathroom with me, which that would be, and I know for a lot of people, it's like go into the bathroom, pull out my phone, whether you're peeing, whether you're pooping, whatever it is, you're on your phone while doing it, because we just can't be idle. We can't have a lack of stimulation for 30 seconds, 5 minutes. So having a book in the bathroom, it makes me more efficient, but it also, like, I'm bettering myself. Something that I've learned as a side note here on the reading front is that I've struggled to remain engaged with books that really aren't technical or practical. So I can read a book on carpentry. I can read a book on excavation. I can read a book on green energy, dirt biking, right, where there's a technical aspect to it, and I can voraciously move through that material, and I can retain all of that, and it's very engaging for me. But when I start reading business books, when I start reading self-help books, when I start reading fictional books, I have a really difficult time keeping my mind engaged. As soon as anything slows down, or as soon as my mind is not really challenged, I wander and drift off somewhere else, and that's something that I need to work on. But what a tool that's helped me is to use a highlighter or a pencil as a bookmark. So as I'm reading, I can just either mark words or phrases or sentences that speak to me, that create, even if it's fiction, it creates an image for me that really stands out to me. So it's just a way to keep me more engaged, rather than reading and hearing 3 sentences and not retaining any of that, which is funny because we watched a comedy show with Nate. I think it's Bargatze. I'm going to botch that too. Somebody, you email me, tell me how to pronounce that. I don't know what ethnicity that name is. But he was like, my eyes are really good readers, but my brain is not. He's like, my eyes will read stuff so quickly, and then my brain just doesn't keep up. And I feel the same, right? Where my eyes are going and it's moving, but my brain is just somewhere else, and I have to read things 4 or 5 times. So having the highlighter, the pencil there, just to track the words and highlight words, underline words, circle words, whatever it may be, just it keeps my mind actively engaged enough to help retain a lot of the information. And then if I'm rereading something, right, where it's like a self-help book where I'm looking to practice or put these principles into play, I now have kind of emboldened what is important to me, that I can scroll through there at a faster pace. And that's typically how I work, right? Where it's I'm not going to have any downtime. It's just the substance that I need. So that's another tool or technique that I've been doing to just help me be present more in life, and remain engaged in my life, and not look for outside stimulus to keep me happy. So the last one is exactly that, 5, be present. And this one hits close to home. The kids are getting older, and that's something that's created a lot of anxiety in my life, right? Where the kids are getting older, we have less time with them. I'm getting older. That's something that I've struggled to deal with or wrap my head around or cope on a daily basis. And it creates a lot of anxiety where it's like Selby is in sixth grade, and in at that point, 6 years, she's going to be a senior in high school. And that's really scary to me. And that goes really fast. And that's something that I have trouble dealing with, and it creates a lot of angst for me. So I'm so nervous about her getting older and moving on with life, and just basically moving through this stage of my life, that I get very anxious about it, but I don't do anything about it. I'm so anxious about that, but I don't actively be more present in her life, right? I do all the things, I go through the motions, but am I actively present and engaged with her as an 11, 12-year-old girl, or am I just there? So learning to lead a life where I'm more engaged with her, where I'm more present, where she doesn't need to call my name 5 times to get my attention because I'm on my phone, is really important to me, right? I'm so nervous that that time's going to go quickly and I'm not going to be able to get it back, but I'm not doing anything in present time to avoid that or to not have any regrets. So that's been a big motivator in me looking to change my lifestyle and what I'm doing. And I want to be clear that I haven't figured this out. It's not, I don't have it licked. Putting do not disturb on my phone, leaving my phone out of sight. If I'm around my kids, not picking up my phone to answer text messages, check emails. Again, really only using social media on my computer is giving me a lot more time to be present within my life. And something that I need to work on there is just being okay with being bored and not needing constant stimulation, or just being okay with living in the present moment and not needing outside stimulus to make me feel okay. And I think that everything in my life has created that need, and the phones and technology and social media definitely contributes to that. So I want to be okay with being bored. I want to be okay with living without my phone attached to my hip. I want to enjoy the time that I have with my family and my friends. I want to be focused on the things that I want to do for work, and I want to be very productive in doing so. And I found that the tools and the strategies and the action items that I put in place over the past 4 weeks or so have been instrumental in making me feel as though I'm hitting the mark. I'm getting more done. I'm not having to do stuff after work. I just feel like I'm making really good use of my time, and I'm feeling very, I guess I have a bunch of gratitude in my life. I'm feeling accomplished. I'm feeling really good about the time that I'm spending with my kids and with my wife. And I feel like it's opening up opportunities to do things that typically I wouldn't want to do because I'd want more stimulation than that. Even just, laying in bed with the kids as they sleep, not feeling as though, hey, this is my time to be on my phone to get that hour of just by myself looking at things that I want to look at. I don't really need that. That's not serving me in any way. If it were, I would prioritize it more. But just being able to lay in bed with them and not feel as though I need to get out of bed because there's something else that I need to do or something that's pulling me in that direction is really important to me. So at 39, I'm finally starting to realize this. Again, I'm sure that this is partially because it's something new I've integrated in my life, and it's that pink cloud where everything's new, everything's exciting, and it's not normal yet. So it's still fun. I'm sure it'll be more of a struggle once I move forward and it's just normal. But that's part of life. And I'm hoping that as it progresses more towards normalcy, that rather than being bored and looking for outside stimulation, that boredom just creates more presence within my life. There is another article that I need to dig into. My buddy Logan sent me. And it's basically an article about using your phone as a tool rather than letting it control you. And I'm in the middle of a book that Nick and I are working on, moving through, not working on writing, working on reading. So once I wrap that up, I'm going to dig into that article that Logan sent me and probably circle back with everyone if you're interested in that. But like I said, the reception on last week's episode was pretty strong as far as people with suggestions, help, just relatability for them. So if I'll probably circle back once I make my way through this book and through that article and share my experience there with all of you. So again, I hope that this blog post, this podcast is helpful for you. I'm not an expert. I'm fumbling through life and trying to figure this out just as much as each and every one of you. And I'm just sharing my journey because this is part of my process for understanding this, retaining this, and really immersing myself in this. So I appreciate anyone who's reading, anyone who's listening to this. Again, don't forget next week, January 24th, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Nick and I are hosting a live workshop where we'll be doing a case study on a pre-construction and construction project of mine, really digging into what went wrong, what went right, and what we do differently now. You can sign up for that. If you can't find the link, email me, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com, and I will get you the link to register for that. But you need to pre-register before the event. The event's on Zoom, probably be 60 minutes, 75 minutes or so. But definitely, if you can't find it on our social, go to Modern Craftsman Pod on Instagram, click on the workshops icon, and you can get the link there. But if you can't find it and you want to join, shoot me an email, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. I appreciate all of you hanging around, listening. If you need anything from me, again, best place, tyler@trghomeconcepts.com. Any insight, information, suggestions, corrections as to what I'm botching from a pronunciation standpoint, definitely let me know. But I appreciate everyone reaching out with regard to last week's podcast and all the insight and information and just taking the time to introduce yourselves and say, hey, I'll catch you guys next week.